am going to give her a call. Let me see if she answers. But right here, it looks...
Hi, you've reached Jessie Cohen at WHAS.
I'll text her. She might be busy. All right. I called the wrong phone, but it looks
Hello.
like... Hey, Jessie, how are you doing?
I am doing okay. How you doing?
I'm good. So we are watching your live feed right now.
Yeah, we are at the back of the crowd. I'm not sure how much you guys could hear. It was pretty loud, so it was tough to hear. But there were some of what they're calling the leaders who were at Jefferson Square Park speaking to this big crowd that I'm at the back of, saying that we're going to a location that we haven't been before, and they aren't ready for that. That was the exact quote that we heard from one of the leaders.
Okay, and so you have been here all evening. Earlier, it was pretty silent at Jefferson Square Park. In the last hour, it seems like the crowd has doubled. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, I would say even doubled or tripled. So everything was really pretty calm for quite some time. I'd say there was probably a group of about 100 people who've been hanging out by the park today, kind of doing their normal thing, barbecuing, hanging out with friends. And then all of a sudden the group started marching. They went down Jefferson, and they went to that Hampton Inn, which is right across from 2nd Street, where they encountered some 3%ers with some weapons out in the parking lot. And a lot of the protesters that I spoke with said that they did not know that they were going to be there. They didn't know that's where they were going. So very quickly, just a few minutes later, they turned around and came back to Jefferson Square Park, where they all kind of regrouped. And now we're on this march that you're watching now.
And so earlier you were watching as demonstrators were trying and chanting, asking for the people to be released from jail, those protesters who were arrested yesterday. Tell me a little bit about that.
Right. So we kind of hung out on the side of Metro Corrections to try to talk to some of those people who had gotten arrested. And we did get a chance to speak to one of them. They were being released every 2 hours or so, and then it started to speed up relatively quickly, allowing more people out. But one of the people that I spoke to who got released said that it was the worst night of her life, that she would not go back, and that she was not protesting back in these streets today because of her experience. And so I asked, is this going to deter a lot of other protesters from continuing to march because of the experience that they had in jail? She said, I can't really talk for other people, but for myself, it sure has, and I'm going home. She said it was worth it for Breonna, but she wouldn't do it again.
And so did she give any indication as to why it was the worst day, if there was anything different?
She just said, it was more the worst experience of her life getting arrested. That was part of the group that I was at last night, who had gotten arrested right next to Metro Corrections, where all those KSP officers were lined up. And she said the food was really bad in jail. They didn't take care of them. They were with a whole bunch of friends. She talked about overcrowding. So obviously I wasn't in there. We're not exactly sure. But we do know that she had said that a lot of people had gotten arrested that night. We had watched all those people kind of laying on the ground earlier, just a few hours before they got arrested.
And so another thing that I thought was interesting, in your last live feed, there was a lot of protesters who had Sharpies in hand, and also were talking about bond projects, attorneys' numbers, and they were having people write them on their arms.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot throughout the last 4 months. I've been covering this for 120 days, and it has been such a consistent thing to see people showing up with numbers and Sharpies, writing them on their arms, saying, we just need your first and last name and your birthday. That's all we need to bail you out. There are a lot of different bail bonds and different funds where people donate money to get these people out of jail. So essentially they're just trying to set them up to not have to spend any more time in there than necessary. They're constantly circling the park and making sure everybody has the right information they need in case they do get arrested.
And so, like you said, you have been covering this for 120 days, and especially in the earlier days, those first 2 nights where it did get pretty bad, it feels different. Talk to me about the tone that you're feeling tonight.
I would say that at the beginning, there was a lot of there was no real organization. There was a lot of chaos. People were in different areas. The first night was very centered around Jefferson Square Park. The second night was all spread out throughout downtown. And then the third night, I actually walked 15 miles in the Highlands. So there was no rhyme or reason the first time around. This time, you know, a lot of them are saying, well, police are expecting us to be downtown. Police are expecting us to stay at Jefferson Square Park. And that's become our home base. That's become kind of our safe zone. And it's not our battleground any longer. So they have kind of removed their strong presence there at Jefferson Square Park. But I do have to say that while it doesn't feel like big things are happening there, we did see small trash can fires last night. We did see some bush fires last night. We saw a lot of trash, a lot of things that were broken in that area. So I'd say really the big difference is that they're on a mission and they have a plan. And they're not really sharing that plan. While at the beginning it was a lot of emotion, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, but with no plan.
Okay, interesting. How many people would you say are there right now?
I mean, if I had to guess, I would probably say anywhere around 500, maybe closer to 6 if I had to guess, but it's so hard to tell. The group is moving pretty fast. More people are continuing to join. And, you know, at one point I was at the back, and now I'd say I'm kind of in the middle, so it kind of changes very quickly.
And it looks like, based off of the sign that I just watched, that you guys just turned on to 4th. Is that correct? Where are you guys right now? And where are you headed?
We just turned, and we are headed straight towards the golf house.
Okay.
So I think it's important to remember, like, at the beginning of this, we really saw a lot of protests downtown, but it was really centered around that Jefferson area. Sometimes it went down to Liberty, in that, like, 4th, 5th, and 6th Street area. But we never saw any protests down at Whiskey Row or at Main Street. We saw a little bit in Nulu. We saw a little bit in the Highlands. But aside from that, at the beginning, we really did not see much else. And so tonight they are saying they're going somewhere that we've never seen them go before. So we're kind of following along, not really sure where our end result's going to be.
Okay, that's interesting. Thanks for talking with me, Jesse. I really appreciate you giving us that time.
Yeah, no problem. And if you want to check in the next hour, just let me know.
Definitely. We'll check in with you, keep us updated, and, of course, stay safe.
Thank you so much. You guys keep doing your job so well back there.
All right. Thanks, Jesse. Bye.
Bye.
All right. And I did want to give you a little bit of information as far as those that were arrested. Last night, 127 people were arrested, and they were arrested on charges varying from rioting to unlawful assembly and obstruction. And I'm going to try and go through here to show you all of the different updates with these protests here. We have another live feed going on, and this right here is what I want to show you next. And we're going to watch it a couple times, but this is from Councilman Anthony Piagentini, and he says that the person that took this video has shared it with him, okayed him for us and everybody to use it. But this is Major Gregory, less than 24 hours from being shot and attending the team's roll call to tell them how much he appreciated them. This is the councilman speaking in his tweet saying, "This is the definition of leadership and selflessness. This is the caliber of public servant defending our city." And it's important because Major Gregory was one of the 2 officers that was shot last night. He is walking in there, obviously a little bit of a limp, but he is okay, and we are told that the other officer is also in stable condition. Now, there is someone who has been arrested, and that's 26-year-old Lorenzo Johnson was arrested on 14 counts of wanton endangerment of a police officer. And so this is a good video to show, just to highlight that this officer is okay. From all of our coverage, he was a leader.
The video was after he was shot.
Right.
He was out of the hospital.
Right. And so this is video today of him. I think it was posted 2 hours ago. So this is video 2 hours ago. He was shot last night. We have shown you that video on our news of him getting shot. And we've also talked with him and seen footage of him, exactly what the councilman said, that he is a leader. That is also what many police officers told us. And he oftentimes commanded and dealt with all of the different groups and organized, for instance, Until Freedom, Black Lives Matter, organizing to make sure that everybody was on the same page. So that is Major Gregory, who walking out today after being shot yesterday. And then, of course, we do want to talk about the extended order from Mayor Greg Fisher. It is almost our curfew. I'm sure all of you got that emergency alert. I got it on my phone saying that at 9 p.m., that is the curfew, 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. The mayor recently did extend that curfew through the weekend. So before it was only 72 hours. Now it is through that weekend time slot. I do have a tweet from the mayor about that, and I'll show you. Well, actually, let's just go to, this is Jessie talking about, this was about 2 hours ago, so we had just talked to her. The protesters are marching right now. They were going down 4th. This is them a couple hours ago on the stairs of Metro Hall. And then we also have a lot of signs that people were holding saying, you know, open up the cell, let my boys out of jail. A lot of people wanting their friends, the other protesters, the 127 of them, out of jail. And what we were told is that it was every hour that those protesters who were in jail were getting out. They were releasing them about 2 at a time. And it frequented actually towards 6 o'clock, I'd say, to every 15 minutes, 2 people would be released. And as Jessie just told us, one person said because of their experience in jail, they're not going to be out protesting again. But as we did just see from that live feed, Jessie said there's 500 people, maybe more. And so there are a lot of people that have come out to protest. Again, what time is it? We are
8:22.
Yeah, we were a little bit over 30 minutes from that curfew setting in. We saw yesterday the police were very serious about that curfew, and they started arresting people. So we'll see if that's what happens again. But let me show you the mayor. So he goes here in this tweet. He said, we're working to balance the First Amendment rights to peacefully protest with the need for public safety. As I announced yesterday, we'll again be under a countywide curfew from 9 tonight to 6:30 a.m. Again, he extended that through the weekend, going on to say this step helps us balance our responsibility to keep everyone, protesters, first responders, and bystanders safe, while still allowing people the time and space to voice their calls for racial justice and equity during the day. And we do have multiple reporters who are out there tonight. We are going to be checking in with them, and we'll check in every hour with you, updating you on the newest information, where the protesters are. And of course, the next time we see you is going to be 9 o'clock, and that's actually going to be when that curfew is kicking in. So we'll see exactly what that game plan is for LMPD, the National Guard, because yesterday what we saw was a huge show of force, and it really did disperse that crowd fast. So we'll see what happens tonight, but you can check back in with us at 9 o'clock.